It's like awkward waiting for it to start. Okay, so I clicked the button. Now we're going live. It's the live button. So we're live. Uh, hello. Exit and Constantine are here. Do you two want to say hello? Hello. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of awkwardly buy time while people join the stream, like we always do. Um, I'm just gonna say it up front. Today's kind of a nightmare for me. I'm really far behind, and I haven't even finished updating the map. But I did all of the important stuff, which is, I mean, it's all pretty all the stuff that people actually care about. I haven't gone through the artillery reports yet, but most people don't even look at that anyway. So, uh, anyway, Constantine, do you want to tell a short story? I just threw you on it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I was trying to buy time because we usually wait like 5 minutes before we start. And I don't know what to say for 5 minutes. I never know what to say for the first 5 minutes. It's always awkward. Uh, okay. Oh, I clicked the button. Oh, wait a sec. Wait a sec. Wait, wait, wait. I'm fixing the thingy that always breaks. It's so annoying it breaks. Don't answer that question for a second. Okay. Okay, now you can answer the question.
So what is it like the storage capacity of the for the grains and for the grain in Odessa and Ilovaisk? Because right now Odessa and Ilovaisk is sorry, not Ilovaisk, Ismail are being targeted by Russian missiles, and I'm wondering how much grain do you think they can destroy?
So I have kind of intentionally not asked that question from some of the people at the ports, partially because I don't want to put that information out there.
Well, I'm not asking, how much is there right now. I'm asking the capacity from the open source. Because this should be quite an open information actually, because they have the elevators, they have the heaps with it, and
yeah. So, and I just honestly haven't asked that question. I agree with you that it's probably totally open source information. The one newer part of Chernomorsk that they built in the last, in the last year, they actually started it right before the war. And they built this new double loading zone. That particular portion. So, for instance, we at our, I'm just pulling up a map, one quick sec here. At our farm that I work at, we have the same kind of silos that they would have at this newer area. And we can hold, I think they're 800,000 each. So
800,000 tons.
800,000 metric tons. Yeah. That's what it's rated in. So just give me 1 second to pull up the map. And dead air. My apologies. Oh, where did it go? So this new port area, for instance, just in the new port area, there is 13 of those, and they are roughly the same size as what we would have. So you're looking, let's say, around 10 million tons right there, give or take. And Yeah, it's not a small amount. Sorry, let me think about that. I think I'm misquoting the number of ours.
Yeah, 10 million tons is huge. I mean,
I think I added a 0, Constantine. My apologies. Man alive, what do ours hold? I think I added a 0. So sorry. That would be like
1
100,000,
million.
give or
If you added
1
one,
million.
that would be 1 million.
Yeah. Because like each ship that they're loading out of each side of that dock, for instance, each ship, even the largest ships that they load, are like 68,000 tons that they're loading out of there. So let's say that they're loading like 12 ships in Chernomorsk in a week. They'd have to have, let's say, 12 times 64, right? And then on top of that, you probably want to have like the next week of grain kind of sitting there. So 12 times 64. This is where I need my calculator. That's 1 million tons on its own for 1 week. And let's say that they had 2 or 3 weeks worth of storage around there.
Gotcha.
So you're like each port somewhere around 3 million if everything was loaded, give or take. I think that's still probably a little bit high.
And do I get it right that like the grain, when you store it, it can explode? There are gases that accumulate, and it can actually explode, right?
It can. That's not super likely at these bigger port areas because they're going to have. So, for instance, on most bins, at the bottom of the bin, you have a big air circulation fan, and it blows air through your bin. And the big bins that they have temperature controls all the way up and down the inside of the bin, and they read off to like by Wi-Fi.
I mean, by itself, if you disrupt it and then you strike it, it can explode.
Yeah. So like the moisture control will prevent it from exploding by itself. It will still have dust in it. And like I was talking, I think I mentioned this before the stream started, but if a bomb hit it, the dust from the grain would explode like in a big, huge explosion. It would spread very fast and burn very fast. And that would look like a giant fireball.
Got it.
But yeah,
And also things like dry milk and all that, the like powders that are produced in the agriculture, they also can explode, right?
the powders can explode, and then like the vegetable oils, like you guys export a ton of sunflower oil. So any of those sunflower oil tanks or oil tanks that are all around there, obviously at some point there was other oil that would have been exported as well, but mostly right now it'd be sunflower oil. And that would be quite flammable as well. And it would be pretty hard to put out, like any like oil refinery fire.
So we have some questions.
Oh boy.
The first question
about my misspoken numbers.
No. The first question is, what did Russia shoot in Odessa last night?
So they definitely targeted
last night or right now, you mean? Because there are explosions like a couple of hours ago, an hour ago.
Well,
yeah,
everything that's happened in the past 2 hours, I have no idea about. because I haven't read news in the past 2 hours. So if you
So,
if you
like,
want to talk about that too, so go ahead.
yeah, last night they definitely targeted the port of Odessa proper. Was my understanding and what I read in the readout of the Southern Command. But tonight it looks like they're targeting Chernomorsk, which would incline me to believe that probably tomorrow night they'll target Yuzhny.
Okay.
Usually is Ismail, right?
It is. Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that you said that earlier. You said that they're targeting Ismail tonight?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I hadn't heard that. I'd only heard that they were targeting Chernomorsk tonight. So that's interesting.
Okay. So what's the difference between these ports? Like, does each one specialize in something, or are they mostly like interchangeable?
They're not interchangeable. Chernomorsk generally has put out, like, they just have a higher turnover rate for their ships, and it's a little bit bigger port than the proper port of Odessa. The proper port of Odessa has one very small area that has a little bit of Ukrainian Navy stuff in it that's kind of in the middle of the port. And then the rest of it, it's not like an overly small port, but it's not big compared to the other ones. And then Yuzhny Ismail, it's quite a large port, and they expanded it. I think it was in 2018. I hope I have that date correct. Sorry, I don't have my notes. And it is specifically quite deep so that they can take like the very largest of ships. And they put in, it was actually had a lot of funding from China, because China exports or imports so much grain from Ukraine to begin with. They put in a really large port for Viterra there that they run out of there, but it hasn't been operating for nearly 2 months now.
Do you know anything about what happened tonight? Any specifics?
It is happening right now. So
Okay.
like it's literally right now it's unfolding.
Okay.
So from what I see right now in the news, I can see that I have a feeling that they targeted infrastructure, electrical infrastructure. And there is a video from one of the landings right now where the hit happened. They don't say exactly where, but there is a video, and they say that they try to keep to deprive us of the electricity. So I'm guessing that may not be strikes on the ports. Not all of them, at least, maybe the strikes on the ports, but some of them are on the electricity, which actually, may make sense because the port needs electricity, and like we discussed with the with exit, all those things, like there are fans that have that spinning with electricity. That maintain the state of the grain so that gases don't accumulate, that it does not start rotting, and maybe they are targeting that as well. I don't know.
If
but this,
I seem to remember, I'm not 100% sure, but I remember there being a big like electrical infrastructure like right here on the coast somewhere around here. Because Russia's shell, they've hit it with missiles a bunch of times. I can't remember exactly where it is.
Yeah,
but it's really close to the port.
Yeah. Well, and Constantine's exactly right. When they have hit it before, it has shut down the port for a certain period of time because they just can't like load anything. The US aid has gone in and refitted the ports with lots of like subsequent power generation and things. So that's helped deal with that kind of thing. But ultimately, if you take out the power, you can only do so much at your port.
Yeah. So, I don't know how much you want to get into grain stuff. Um,
Let's do two more questions. And then anybody else who has questions that I don't answer here, go to Twitter and I will actually I put up a tweet like 2 hours ago saying, like, if you have questions that you haven't heard answered before, put them in the comments to this particular tweet, and I will make sure that over the next couple of weeks, or the next 2 weeks probably, I'm going to pick some of those questions and answer them, because people keep asking about host a space, and I'm like, I can't answer all of these things in a space. It's easier to do them when I just talk or like write them out.
The main two questions we're getting, or that I see, are that is this hypothetical or is it actually happening? And what was hit? So we don't know what was hit, at least tonight, because like it's happening right now. And is it a hypothetical? Sort of, I guess, because we don't know what was hit. So, but they are hitting something. So, so those are the questions I see. So, um, and okay, so that's the grain stuff you feel like talking about, because I'm willing to talk about more, but it sounds like you don't want to.
Oh no, I love talking about it, but also I don't want to co-opt your thing. I had a question for you though.
Okay.
I saw that you monetized YouTube. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, that. Thanks. I would have actually forgotten about that. Okay, yeah. I just want to say that people may have realized that I've monetized the YouTube channel, and the reason why is pretty simple. This website that I'm looking at right now costs money to run, and basically I monetized YouTube to pay for it. And at the moment, it seems that it's paying for it like pretty much exactly. So it's nice. So it's basically every dollar from YouTube is going to pay for the website, and it seems to pay for it, and that's cool. So it's a it's a success. So I just wanted people to know that's why the YouTube channel is monetized.
When can we see commercials from you? Like, in the beginning you would say, "Hello guys, I bought like this new sofa at my local dealer," and you're like happy around with the pictures of the sofa.
Well,
Or
we're not doing that kind of ad, but there are ads at the beginning of the video. I set it so it's only skippable ads because I hate unskippable ads, and yeah, so it should be as unpainful as possible for the viewer. So, but anyways, that's what the ads are for. They're basically paying for the website, and that's like the income from YouTube is almost exactly the bill for the website. So it's like it's working out. So, all right. So yeah, so we can move on. Okay, so there are two main topics, I guess. There's the stuff going on in the Kremena-Kupiansk area, and then there's the stuff going on in the south. And I don't know, which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do the 100,000 man of full frontal assault, or do you want to do the offensive in the south? which which one do you want to do first? Yeah, you want to do the south? Okay, let's do the south first. Okay, so recently, there have been a whole bunch of videos that came out from this area. They were published supposedly. Well, not okay. So the videos came from the 15th Brigade, but they were not published by the 15th Brigade. They were given to another media source, which is a popular Telegram channel. He is from Nikopol. I think he's the mayor of Nikopol. Constantine, do you know who he actually is? I think he's the mayor. I'm not sure though.
No, I have no clue. You showed me that channel.
Yeah.
I don't know much
Well,
else about it.
I'm pretty sure he works in the government of Nikopol. I think he's the mayor, but I'm not sure on that. But either way, he's kind of like a low level politician, basically. And he writes about news from that area. So for a very long time, he basically only wrote about news, well, in kind of a square like here. So he wrote about Nikopol, he wrote about Enerhodar, he wrote about all the towns around it. So he it's just like this area right here is basically all he wrote about, and most of his writing was shelling, which is why I follow him for the shelling reports. But like he would write in like real time, which I don't know if is even supposed to be done. But he would like every time a Russian artillery gun fired, he would say a gun fired. So you could just like following him, you could see how much Russia was firing in a day, because he would just say plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one for every fired shot. And it was actually kind of interesting because I'd follow him, and then during some days there'd be like no news, and then other days you'd get like 50 messages over the course of like a minute. You'd be like, wow, there's a lot of shelling right going on right now. But anyway, so that's mostly what he was doing for a lot of the war. And then your typical kind of Ukrainian telegram stuff where he would talk about how much he dislikes the Russians and things of that nature. But more recently, he started posting these videos from the 15th Brigade. I don't know how he's connected to it, but he is obviously connected to it somehow. Maybe he has like a friend there. I don't know. The 15th, I believe, is from Zaporizhia. I think they are a brigade from Zaporizhia. What are they? National Guard? I think they're National Guard or something from Zaporizhia. But anyways, so he started posting these videos from them, and he would say that the videos. So he started out posting videos from Novopokrovka, and in fact, I've from those videos, I had to change my map because of the information provided. He showed Ukrainian shelling in this location, over here, and then he showed Ukrainian drone attacks in this little forested area, and also Ukrainian shelling in this little corner down here. So those were all videos that he posted, and they were all actually pretty interesting because we don't really get any information from this particular town. Then, more recently, he posted some videos of this area, which is just north of. I always say his town. I really want Constantine. Can you teach me how to say his town name? Is it Robotina? Can you teach me? Because I just want to learn it.
Sorry, I was distracted a bit. Robotine.
Robot. Okay. Okay, so it's just north of Robotina. So the first videos were shelling in this little intersection of this tree line, or over. No, actually, the first video was over here, and the second video was like here, and the third video was like there, and the fourth video was here, and then there's another video over here. So it was all very concerning, and he was saying that this was Ukrainian shelling. Well, Constantine, do you want to take over from here? This is
No, I cannot comment on this
okay.
one. Sorry.
So, anyways, long story short, we learned that it's most likely was actually Russian shelling. We don't know for sure, but it was most likely Russian shelling and not Ukrainian shelling, which changes the whole dynamic of the situation. Um, so, the map kind of speaks for itself at this point. There's only so much we can say, but the maps pretty much speaks for itself. So this is what we believe is more or less the current situation for this area. So, and that's kind of the backstory of where these videos came from. They came from the politician Nikopol, who has friends from guys in Zaporizhia who were posting videos, and the videos are real. The videos are current, and that's kind of the more important part, is that they are real videos and they are current in that they were filmed most likely within the past 3 to 5 days, but they seem to be mislabeled. So it was in fact, not in fact, but most likely Russian shelling. So that's kind of the situation here. But so this Russian control here, in this kind of dark red, is a most likely, well, it's partly a map clarification and partly a Russian counterattack. It's kind of a little bit of both. From what I can tell, Ukraine did in fact push south into these positions at some point. I can't remember exactly when, but it was like in June. They pushed into these positions, and they most likely pushed into these positions as well. So, so they kind of pushed down into here, which is why it was all a gray area on my map to begin with. Now, at some point, Russia reclaimed all of this ground, and they continued attacking, most likely, trying to reclaim more. I don't know exactly when this happened. It could have happened like the next day. Like it could have been like Ukraine pushed down, were repelled, and then Russia took it all back. That could have happened. There was basically no information on fighting in this kind of general area, really. There was some shelling down here, but we don't know if that's Ukrainian shelling or Russian shelling. So I just, whenever there's heavy shelling, I was marking the heavy shelling as a gray area. But anyways, it seems that Russia now has taken back all this territory that was once likely a gray area, although we don't know when Russia took it back. So that's kind of what seems to be going on here. Now, in addition to all of this, it appears that Ukraine is successfully attacking in this general area, although I have no specific information on where that is. Oh, I have some idea. I've heard that they captured a tree line near Novopokrovka. So it is possible that this final tree line is not actually in Ukrainian control. I have it in Ukrainian control because there's multiple videos of Ukrainians in this tree line getting shelled and attacked. Although it's possible this was just a gray area, and kind of the rumors I've heard today is that this tree line was captured today. So yeah, there's that. That's kind of all I have to say about that. Now, Piatichatki, this town, I don't know if there's any current fighting going on in this area. There could be. This kind of northern part near Kamyanska. There are videos of Ukrainians in this part of whatever this is, the outskirts of the town or whatever this is. Anyway, so there are Ukrainians there. Now, I was tempted to mark it as Ukrainian controlled, but I'm just going to keep it as contested for now. But yeah, that's kind of all the information I have around here. That's kind of it.
So I want to add one thing about who controlled what, but from what I have, I will not talk about the specific tree lines, but
yeah,
I don't have information that Russia took something back. So, and I asked specifically for this, is it back and forth? And I was told, no, it's not back and forth. It's us pushing all the time. The progress is really slow there. but there were no lost. Maybe one tree line when we entered, and then we pushed back. But they say that no, there were not no controlled tree lines with positions that we had that were taken back. Maybe there. I don't know how this whole area got marked as taken. Maybe some troops were seen there, but if you see troops somewhere, does not mean that the area is under control, right? You can move in, you can perform an attack, you can move out right after that. So this what I was told, and that I was told that our National Guard have taken one more tree line over the past 24 hours. So in the area where you were showing. So this is the information that I have. I don't know, like I don't want to point on the map where it is, but this is from the source that I tend to trust. But sometimes he can be a bit overly optimistic. But this instance, I asked him if he is overly optimistic or anything, and he said no, that's.
Are you being overly optimistic right now?
Yeah, no, we know each other for a long. It's not like it's not like I just met him. It's a dude that we have big common history together.
Can I make a quick correction before we move on?
Sure.
When I was remembering the number 1 million, I was right about our bins, but it's 1 million bushels, not 1 million tons, which is way smaller. So all of the numbers I gave people, just ignore them. I'll figure out the actual numbers and come back to you with that.
Okay.
I'll post about it someday.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So there's kind of another thing that I'd like to talk about in the South is the artillery getting destroyed. Now, I don't know exactly how many artillery pieces in the South were destroyed, but it's a lot. Like a lot. So we're talking like.
So Andrew, let me interrupt you here.
Okay.
So when you talk about artillery, sorry, I muted myself. Is this your observation, or you see this also coming? Statements like the artillery is being destroyed. The artillery is being destroyed, because I keep hearing it as well. And I'll be honest, I don't keep counters like how much artillery we destroyed today or yesterday. But yeah, I see the videos that it's happening, but I'm trying to understand if it's actually can be some kind of operations like PSYOP, or it's actually you see the numbers there.
We are seeing numbers. The numbers that we see are not what's reported, because I think, if I remember right, I read this like really early in the morning today. I might be misremembering the exact number, but I think they said like 12 artillery pieces in the South were destroyed, something like that.
So I'm not talking right now about the Ukrainian general staff numbers. I'm talking about the open source numbers.
Yeah. Well, let's say I've been seeing probably like 5 a day on average, something like that. I can't remember exactly how many it was today. Let's look. But it's been like on average 5.
On my tracker that I tend to watch today, it was 152 millimeter Akatsiya howitzer destroyed, one Payan destroyed. It popped up. I don't mean it was destroyed today. The video and the media that popped up today. There was one Tulpan. There is 240 millimeter self-propelled mortars was destroyed, and 122 millimeter Grad MLR optional S was destroyed as well.
Okay,
This is
so
what I see today in the media, like in published media. Of course, because it contains some old, some new ones, but it keeps popping up. So I'm just trying to understand if it's
yeah,
go ahead.
what I have today is one SPG, one peon, um, another SPG, uh, and I think that's it for artillery today. So today was kind of a slow artillery day, and in addition to that, Ukraine lost a crab. Um,
Yeah, this is what I see as well.
yeah, so that's what I see today. There was also a rumor from a person I actually trust that Ukraine destroyed at least one toss. Um, but I did not see evidence of that. So that's what I saw today. But most of what I saw today with the confirmed information are tanks. So we have a lot of destroyed tanks. So it's a three T-72s. Um, there's
One
a
T80, I think. No?
I didn't see a T-80 today, at least not a new one. But I saw three T-72s. There was two BMPs and some other stuff. A BMD-2. So a lot of the stuff that I saw today was armor destroyed. Not so much artillery. But obviously, I don't see everything that comes out. In fact, a lot of times it takes me 2 or 3 days to see everything that comes out in one day. Like, if you know what I mean. Like I'll probably see stuff that was posted today, tomorrow and the next day as well, just because I didn't see it today. You know what I mean? So I don't see everything, and not everything is recorded or posted. So we're only seeing a fraction of what actually happens. Anyway, but more or less speaking, we're seeing a lot of artillery pieces get destroyed, confirmed artillery pieces, mostly self-propelled guns, occasionally towed guns. Like what was it? A few days ago, there was like a column of towed guns that got struck by Gimler or whatever. But usually it's self-propelled guns getting destroyed. And yeah, I don't know. And also, I just want to say that Ukraine is also losing a lot of artillery. I don't know if maybe not a lot, but they're losing artillery too. Just to be honest, so I don't know what the loss ratio is. It might be something. I don't know. Like today, we saw what, four artillery pieces for the Russians and one for Ukraine. Maybe that's about right. That seems about right to me. Maybe 4-1, something like that. Maybe 3-1. I don't know. There are some days where we see like five Ukrainian artillery pieces get destroyed in one day. And also, it doesn't necessarily mean it happened in one day. It's just the videos came out all in one day. So that's really what we mean when we say it happened in a day. It means the videos came out that day. So yeah, there's a lot of artillery pieces getting lost, and I don't know how many reserves Russia has in artillery. I've heard it's around 1,000. That could be totally wrong. It could be 10,000 for all I know. I really don't know. But obviously Ukraine doesn't really have reserves, so they're kind of just what they have is what they have. So yeah. Okay, people are asking about the bridge. Um, what to say about the bridge? The bridge spontaneously
Is no
collapsed.
more.
It just fell in half. You know, it could happen to any bridge. happened like roughly here-ish, really close to the Russian side. It actually happened in Russian water, which is kind of interesting. Um, Apparently, there's one lane on the bridge that you can drive on, and they're using it to drive civilians across back to Russia, basically. So I don't I don't know about you, but I wouldn't drive on it. That seems like it's like the last thing in the world I would want to do is drive on a bridge that collapsed. But I don't know. Maybe
You
you'd
don't
drive on
need
it.
me to drive on them.
Um, but yeah, there's one lane that still is functional. Like this the northern part of the bridge collapsed into the ocean, and on kind of the southern side, one lane is lost, and this lane, like the southernmost lane, is apparently still passable. They apparently just like laid down some wood or something so that because the bridge dropped like 40 centimeters or something. So I guess you have to like lay down some wood so you could drive down the 40-centimeter drop or so, whatever it is, and keep driving. Apparently, I would not do that personally. I'm not a fan of that. Um, the bridge almost certainly cannot be used for logistical purposes anymore. It's like civilian traffic only. And I think it's only driving in one direction, and the direction is Russia. So it's kind of all the rats are trying to leave the sinking ship sort of situation, I guess. Your other option is obviously to drive all the way around, which is quite a drive and probably one
And they
that they
did.
don't
I
want to
think
do.
some people took that route. There were
Yeah,
reported traffic jams.
I'm sure. I'm sure there are. And I believe there's also a ferry that you could buy your way across, but I'm sure that is like the price has gone through the roof to take the ferry. It's probably a really long waiting list too. So yeah, that's kind of the bridge situation. I don't really know what else to say. The rail bridge, the rail bridge is still up and going, although I don't think it can hold freight. I think it's passenger cars only. So that doesn't really help them. Uh,
They do already have a bunch of Navy ships, like additional Navy ships working as ferries back and forth, which I guess is useful.
I guess.
Um, then the other thing that I saw somebody speculate today that I thought was interesting was that people who do take kind of the northern route around, at some point, most of those petrol stations are likely to run out of fuel, because they probably aren't going to be able to resupply them enough to actually keep people going. So that might be a concern for folks as well.
That could be. I have no idea. I kind of think if there's one thing Russia can do, it's pump gas. But I don't know. I don't know. Um,
But if you have so many trucks that have to come down to resupply all of your army, are you going to have enough? Like, can you add additional trucks of petrol? I don't know.
I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I kind of think like just like a guess. Like I don't know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about, but just guessing. My feeling is that they would supply the gas before other things. Like like I think you're more likely to run out of like toilet paper or something than gasoline.
Likely.
But anyways, I don't know. Oops, yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, now there's another area in the south that we could talk about, and I believe this is a legitimate counterattack, from what I understand. Um, but Russia did attack and are actively attacking, basically out of Priutny towards Rivnapil, and they appear to have retaken this ground. Now, this is like a stream or something, or a river. It's like, if it's a river, it's a very small river. It's probably technically a river, but it's a very small river. And I have no idea what the name of this river is, so don't even ask. And why Zigum did it didn't tell me. So anyway, so this is like a little tiny river here, and this river appears to be like kind of the extent of the Russian control, and but they're trying to push towards Rivnapil actively. Today there are assaults going north, and they're also moving towards Novodorivka, which is the would be the northwest from this sort of position. They're more or less trying to reestablish control over some of these. It's I don't want to call them heights because it's basically a plateau, but anyway, just retake some of this ground basically. Uh, Now, I don't really have much information beyond that. We do know that Ukraine is pushing into Staromayorsky, and they've established control over the outskirts of the town. We know that this road here is almost certainly under Ukrainian control and is getting extraordinarily shelled, like stupidly shelled. And similarly, this what used to be a tree line and is no longer a tree line is the same sort of deal. And also, whatever this is also kind of deleted from artillery. Now, um, I don't personally think Ukraine is in the town. Some people seem to think they are. There was a video, I think yesterday, if I go back in time. Uh, yeah, there was a video of a Ukrainian MRAP, I think it was a Kirpi or something, getting destroyed just outside the town. And then today, there was a Russian BMD getting destroyed in roughly the same position. This appears to be a contested area, which is why I have it mapped that way. So, but yeah, this is more or less what's going on here. I don't know what else to say. There's just there's a Staromayorsky is under assault. The Russians seem upset by it. Um, you kind of get the impression that this town will likely be captured by Ukraine, given the reports that the Russians are putting out that they are legitimately concerned. And similarly, a little bit to the west, Russia appears to be retaking some of this gray area ish type area. So that's what's kind of going on. So the short of it is that nothing going on in the south is static. Basically, both sides are always attacking um, with variable success. Uh, Sometimes Ukraine advances, sometimes Russia takes gray area. so it I don't know how often it is that Russia actually pushes back the Ukrainian line. If because it appears that they likely have not around Rebotene. Uh, I'm going to learn how to say that eventually. But they may have actually done that near Priutny and Rivnapil. So yeah, that's kind of that. Oh, there's another thing to say. Um, there are some reports, and these reports are coming from very knowledgeable people who may be wrong. I'm gonna put it that way. They're from extremely well-educated, knowledgeable people, but that doesn't mean the reports are true. But they're coming from legitimate sources, is my point. But they're basically saying that in the South, there are two things going on. The first thing is apparently the Russians are rationing their ammo to some extent. And I don't want to blow that out of proportion. Like, it's not that they're not shooting, it's just that they're using their ammo more intelligently, probably, is the way I would put it. They're shooting at legitimate targets. There was a point in the war where they would just shoot at anything that moved, but now they're shooting at legitimate targets. They're like waiting for a good target to shoot at and shooting it, which is what they should have been doing the whole time. But anyways, so there's evidence of Russian rationing ammo, and the other piece of evidence that we have is that the ratio of fires is it seems to be somewhere around 5 to 1, which means that Russia is shooting about 5 times as many shells as Ukraine, which sounds bad. Except if you go back in time, there was a time when it was more like 10 to 1, and 5 to 1 is a lot better than 10 to 1. So those are two pieces of information that may not be true, but they're coming from really smart people. But they might be wrong, because smart people can be wrong too. So that's kind of I don't know. I don't want to put too much emphasis on either of those points, but they're interesting to think about. I don't know if Constantine wants to say anything about that.
I don't. I did not listen to it, sir.
Okay, that's awesome. Let's move
I
on.
just
I apologize. I had my daughter come up and I spent 1 minute explaining something to her. That's why I'm telling you, we need cameras. If there was a camera, I would tell her to wait.
You could. I keep telling you, you could turn on your camera and you just be by yourself in the corner.
I like that you turned into a lawyer there and you put all the caveats around it. That was very Mr. Bond of you. Good job.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Fun. Anyway, I don't want to say a fun fact. You might notice that this area has a lot of dots. in a very small area. There's a lot of dots. There's a lot of dots. There's even more dots. I could just keep zooming in. It's dots all the way down. Okay. The reason why there's a lot of dots here is because Russia did an assault. They did an assault, and I'm going to zoom out and show you where this is. This is Krasnohorivka, which is just north of Marinka, west of Donetsk, and southwest of Avdiivka. So I hope that orients you on where we are. I could keep zooming out. Why not? Let's just keep zooming out. It's right there. You see? it's here. This is the part of Ukraine we're talking about. So let's zoom back in. And Russia did an assault. Now, I want to say first that I don't know where the Russian front line was before. I have it marked back here, but I don't actually think it was back there. I just don't know where it was. It may have been this tree line here. But I don't actually know where the original front line was. But the important thing is that Russia did a rather large assault. Part of it, and I'm actually genuinely terrified to show this video, but I'm going to show it anyway. Let's just show the... There's going to be no audio because YouTube does not want me to play audio. But we're just going to look at the video. Because this is part of the assault. There are actually a lot of videos of this assault, and all the videos are actually pretty cool. But this is one of the videos. Now, okay. I need to do something because this is so loud. I know you can't hear it, but I can hear it. It's actually physically painful. Okay, so I'm gonna Okay, let's try this again. So here are some BMPs. That's like a BMP2, and this is a BMP1 with a like a box on top. It got shot, and the box blew off. I guess the box did its job, sort of. Um, you see another missile just kind of flew past it. Lucky little BMP. So this is their assault. So I'm gonna pause it. You can see there's some heavy shelling going on. This is their target. This is a mine shaft. So that's what this is, a mine shaft. So they're trying to cross this field, and you can see that they're all driving on this path. I'm sure you can guess what this path is by now. If you guessed it was a tank plowing the minefield, you win a cookie. Up here is the tank. It blew up. Surprise. It happens to everybody, basically. So anyways, that's kind of what's going on here. So let's keep watching. You see dismounting infantry, the BMP2, BMP1, infantry assaulting, running into the base here.
Do they have guns? It doesn't look like they have guns.
It kind of doesn't look like they have guns. But anyway, that is one of the very many videos of this assault. These videos are ridiculously cinematic. And if you click the little dots, there are more videos. I guess I could play this video too. Why not? Let's just go. let's just get banned from YouTube. It'll be fine.
Your millions of dollars gonna be
Yeah.
thrown into the trash bin.
Here's another video. But anyway, I'm gonna go back and look at that again. You can see all these vehicles. So here are BMPs, probably. I think those are BMPs. It's kind of hard to tell when they're wearing hats. Here's a tank wearing a hat. That's a BMP wearing a hat. I think that's a tank wearing a hat. Anyway, I can't even tell what kind of tanks they are because they're just wearing hats. Even more BMPs of some sort. So this is the assault. Lots of artillery going on. I'm not even sure whose artillery this is. The infantry running in like we saw before. And so I'll go back and look at this again because it's interesting. Here we see multiple destroyed vehicles. So this is a destroyed BMP-2. This is a destroyed T-72B. And here's a destroyed T-72B. And there's your mine shaft. And yeah, this is like ridiculously cinematic. They had a lot of fun in this, apparently. Like, anyways, so that's the Russian assault. There's more videos. You can click them if you want. Go click the dots and look at the videos. So yeah, that is the assault. Now, we don't know if this assault was a success or a failure. Looking at the numbers, we see that they have 3 destroyed vehicles, 2 of which were tanks, 1 was a BMP. And then over here, there's another tank and another BMP. And all of this is in addition to that first tank with the plow that I never located. So it seems that they've lost like at least 4 tanks and was this 2 BMPs in this assault, which is not great. But you know, whatever. We see that they got infantry into this area. There was infantry in this building. This drone dropped a grenade on them. There was infantry in this building, and something hit them. I'm really not sure what hit this building. It looks like a ATGM, but I'm not really sure. So yeah, that is their assault. We don't know if they captured it or not. We just know that they got into it and released all these ridiculously like pretty videos of their assault.
Staged.
Okay, so here's a question for you, Constantine. It's actually a question for me, but I'm asking it to you. As Ukraine advances, how do they develop defenses and entrench themselves? Ideally, they would overtake the Russian trenches as they go, but not always. But it's not always possible. Is it more difficult to defend these positions?
I did not quite understand the question. If you're asking if the Russian positions can be used to hold, like as a defensive position from the other side.
Well, let's look at the south. Like Russia has all of these like they have areas of super heavy defenses, and then other areas of lighter defenses, right? So Ukraine appears to be avoiding those super heavy defenses and attacking the lighter defended areas. So when they capture these positions, do you think? What do you think Ukraine does to a position once they capture it? Like once it's in their control, are they digging?
Loot it as hard as you can.
But are they digging more defenses? Are they repairing it?
No, definitely not. There is like, those positions are. Here's one example. Let me. Can I give you the link to the video? Can you?
Is it gonna get me banned? Yeah.
No. It's the one that I showed you, like from the 65th and 44th Brigade. With Tonya, that Tonya posted today. It was posted a bit earlier originally, but it has a picture how the positions look like. I posted in our general chat.
Okay.
If you don't mind opening and going to 1 second, about to second 145 or something. Yeah, 145, 1 minute 45.
Okay. Let me just look
and
through
if
so
we can
get this.
geolocate it, it would be. I think it was geolocated. Let me scroll up and find where the location is.
The annoying thing is I can't like maximize the screen because of the way I stream. But yeah, I think this is fine. So, oh god, it's so loud. You guys don't understand. Okay. Okay, so I know exactly where this is. This is Rivnapil. This is the south of Rivnapil.
Yeah. So imagine, for example, this position. Can you open it on the map as well?
Yeah, I will. A second. Here, I think this pretty much shows it. Okay, so on the map, I know this position. Like I know the back of my hand. This is not where it is. Where am I? Okay, this is where it is. Okay, it's right here. It's right here.
Yeah. So as you can see, like it has its own like it's the idea of this position is to defend forces coming from certain side. So you cannot fully use it to the full extent. So it's designed to hold the positions coming from the west at the moment. This is the west facing. The trenches are facing west, right? So
Ukraine is attacking this way.
Yep. So it's like imagine that you have enemy attacking from the other side now. So this position is not really good for that, but of course it can be used for cover if there is an artillery bombardment. But just out of the box, you cannot use it for the for defense from the lines that you expect Russia to attack from. However, it does not mean that the winter is coming. For example, during the winter, you will have much less vegetation, which would allow much better view. But still, it will not be a proper defense position to defend from other flanks. So it all depends. It all really depends on what kind, like, how much Ukraine penetrates, where is the Russians at the moment, and a lot of things come into play here. So there are scenarios where it can be used, of course, and there are scenarios where it cannot be used because you're basically facing the other side right now. So it's unclear. It all depends on what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
On how deep Ukraine will go, how much where the Russians will be planning to attack. And if you ask me how it's done, you have usual assault forces going through, and then you have a more like it will not be called right to call them the rear guard, but there is a second line of troops that would take those positions, usually more lighter infantry, that would take the positions and use them as a fallback in case of the assault forces stall in their further offensive, so they can fall back to it.
Yeah, just kind of scrolling around, you can see how many defensive positions Russia has built. Basically, all these light tan lines or trenches. So
yeah, and when people are saying they don't have people to man them, I don't buy them. I don't buy this because Russia mobilized a lot of troops. They have over a million troops mobilized. So they do have troops to manage. The quality of those soldiers is under the question, but what we've seen right now, it's like it's not like complete idiots. It's a complete lie to think that Russians completely incompetent and don't know what they're doing. They learned, and they know what they're doing. So it's not that easy to fight them.
Yep. But anyways, getting back to Krasnohorivka.
I gotta step away for a minute or two. I'll be back. So
Okay.
please continue without me.
Getting back to Krasnohorivka, we don't know if Russia captured this position. They may have captured it. It's obviously they entered it. So saying they captured it is not a stretch, but we have no actual proof they captured it. Yeah, so that's kind of all I have to say about that. There's one more thing in the south that I'd like to talk about. The Kinburn Peninsula has had a few notable events happen recently. Today, a Bayraktar TB2 was shot down here. It was carrying bombs, which is interesting. The other day, I can't remember what day, it was yesterday. Yesterday, Ukraine blew up a truck and a BTR-80 in a very similar location using, it was a Gimler, I believe. So it was a Gimler, blew that up. So these are the events on the Kinburn Peninsula. It's not terribly much information, but there is kind of something you can glean from it. Obviously, Ukraine is flying drones there, and obviously they're targeting high or targets valuable enough to shoot a Gimler at. I guess anything you're shooting Gimler at is a high value target. Otherwise, why would you shoot a Gimler at it? But anyway, I don't know if a truck in the BTR is a high value target, but it's a high enough value target. So they're using expensive drones and shooting expensive missiles to destroy things. That's kind of all we can say about that. And there is constant shelling going on around Oleshki. And as I stated last time, the Russians have been very proud that they could capture these few streets, and Ukraine is apparently in these buildings. Last time, it was the 11th. I guess that was last Tuesday. Um, I talked about how Ukraine was in these buildings here, and then the following day, Russia released a video of attacking these buildings with drones. So there's that. So that's kind of the all the information from the south. There's not too much else to talk about, other than there were explosions reported in Mariupol, and well, in multiple areas of Mariupol yesterday, and today there were explosions reported in Berdyansk, and in addition to that, today, or that was yesterday, also today, there's explosions in Berdyansk, and also all of these air defenses in Crimea, because last night, I believe it was last night or this morning, whatever, Ukraine did another drone attack. Was it yesterday
And it was
morning? I can't remember what day it was. All the days run together. That's it. They run together,
they seriously do.
especially when
Um,
you're in a different time zone.
right?
Because like when they say, "Oh, it happened this morning," I'm like, "When was this morning? This morning was yesterday." Okay.
Right. Exactly. So wait. I thought because there was the drone attack on Sevastopol the day before the Kerch. Then there was the Kerch, and then wasn't the I think those drones were early hour this morning, so their afternoon.
From what I heard, it was the night of the 18th.
The Kerch.
No, these drones was the night of the 18th. Now I
Today's
don't.
the 18th.
I know that's what's confusing to me. That's what's confusing. So that's why I didn't know what had happened, because I read that it was the night of the 18th, and I read that at like 8 in the morning, and I was like, wait a second. What is
I think we're both saying the same thing though. That was this morning
yeah,
ish.
I guess so. Anyways, so it would be, yeah, this morning, I guess. I don't know. It's like the time is relative and it confuses me.
So is.
But
When
yeah,
you
and
try to
there was
change the norm,
also this missile thing flying over this part of Crimea on the eastern side. But yeah, there's this image that you can
oh, I didn't see that one.
yeah, there were also reports of explosions, but I think it was air defense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, there's that. Now there's the other piece of news. I'd like to say that I really have no information about Bakhmut, and I'm just kind of gonna skip it. I have nothing to say, so we're just gonna skip it. I'm not ignoring anything. I just have nothing to say. So, moving on. Okay, so recently there have been rumors that Russia has moved or transferred or whatever verbiage they used, 120,000 men into the Kupiansk Kremena area. This is, I don't know if it's a mistranslation or a misunderstanding. It's a miss something, because it's sort of true. It's true in the sense that there's 120,000 ish soldiers in this area. That's true. What's not true is that Russia moved 120,000 there. That's not true. There were already 100,000. So they moved around 11,000. So and the forces that those 11,000 are predominantly, if not 100%, assault forces. So these are 11,000 frontline infantry. So we're not talking logistics. We're not talking mobilized people. We're not talking like cannon fodder. It's 11,000 actual frontline soldiers. That's a legitimate threat. Okay? I don't see, this is kind of the issue when people say ridiculous things like Russia moved 120,000 people here, because that's ridiculous. They didn't do that. But they did move 11,000 seasoned assault troops here. And that's a legitimate threat. That's 11,000 is a lot of soldiers. Like, it's a lot. And they're fully equipped with, all of their BTRs and the BMDs and BMPs and whatever they're driving around, and all of their tanks. Okay, these are fully combat capable troops. Okay, so it's a real threat. It's not something to be laughed about and ignored. It's an actual legitimate threat. And there were already troops here. Obviously, there were 100,000 troops here. Of those 100,000, I don't know how many of them are frontline troops. Maybe 15, 20,000, something like that. So they may have like doubled the number of frontline troops or something like something along those lines. The rest of the troops, you have to keep in mind that this area of Luhansk is a major logistics hub. It's not even a hub. It's like a cluster of hubs. So it is a whole logistics line here. So they not only are supplying this front line here, which is obviously one of the most important front lines that Russia has, but it's also supplying down into kind of the Donetsk area of Ukraine. And the Russians are then using those forces or these logistics to supply Bakhmut and the next city and Avdiivka and all these areas. So, and also they're pushing all the way down to Mariupol and now all the way to Crimea because they lost the bridge. So this logistics center, all these roads and rails and all the things that they use for logistics are incredibly important, and they have a lot of people manning these areas, and by manning them I mean like running logistics, and they also have a bunch of people defending it. In addition to that, they have lots of troop training goes on here. They are training troops 24/7 in this area. And if you read a lot of news in Ukraine, you'll hear every once in a while troops going AWOL and like disappearing, and it's always funny to me. But troops that like around Luhansk and like just general area, they have all sorts of training camps where they do all their troop training for this region, basically. That they also, well, at least they used to. I don't know. Anyway, they trained in Belarus as well, but. It seems that Russia doesn't like training troops in Russia. But anyways, that's a different story. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this area was built up a lot. So those 100,000 people were doing stuff already. So, and also obviously they had the front line itself.
Sorry, I interrupted you. The Luhansk camps, training camps, they also do, I think, the like drone testing and things like that too. Is that not the same place that those videos are coming from?
That could be. I don't know. I do know they have like drone schools. I know that, but I don't know. Probably.
Okay,
I mean, why not? I know they have drone schools because I've seen videos of their drone schools.
Yeah.
It's funny because like the videos I saw, all of the students looked like they were like 65 years old.
Really?
Yeah, they all have like gray hair and balding and like super old. It was actually kind of funny.
I can't imagine my dad flying a drone successfully in a war. I'm going to continue trying to imagine that because it's kind of funny. Um, that's interesting. But to the point of like whoever is misspeaking or translating or whatever they're doing, that is why I continually come back and correct myself when I do things like screw up numbers and whatnot, because the last thing I want is somebody going out and repeating something that I've said that isn't correct. And I think it's bananas that other people aren't always willing to do that. And I wish more people would follow that logic of like, it's a correction. It's not that big a deal
Yeah,
when you have to make it. You'd rather
'cause
be correct and have people know that, hey, you're willing to take something back if it wasn't correct or like right.
yeah, it's not even the verb. They just used the wrong verb basically, or adjective, and both really. They used the wrong verb and adjective because the numbers are technically correct. Because there are between 100 and 120,000 troops there,
Right.
but Russia didn't move 120,000 troops there. There were 100,000 and they moved 11,000. So now there's between 100 and 120,000. So that's the difference. Like it's like yes, you could say there are roughly 120,000 troops there. That's accurate. But you can't say they moved 120,000 troops there because then it sounds like there are 240, like a 220,000 because they had 100,000. If they moved 120, that means they would have over 200,000. So that's the difference. That's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. And it's a big enough issue the way it actually is, and something that people need to be concerned about anyways. And you don't need to blow it out of proportion
Yeah.
by making mistakes like that. But anyways.
Yeah. So we're kind of getting tight on time because I know you have to leave in less than 10 minutes. But anyways, there's only two more topics I want to talk about, and they're both reasonably easy. So the first topic is Russia. I want to kind of change the map. I'm gonna just do this. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do this too. There. There's this river here, the Zherebets River, and there's this forest here. Russia has pushed into this forest. They crossed the Zherebets River. They pushed into this forest. Ukraine tried to counterattack. They basically moved out of this position right here and tried to run across. Didn't work out. So at the moment, Russia controls this forest here, and Ukraine controls this one here. So this is what people talk about when they say Russia crossed the Zherebets River. They control this little forest right here. So yeah, that's what the map depicts at the moment. There's one other place I'd like to talk about, and that is Masutivka. I'm going to turn everything off again, actually. So Russia controls Liman Pershi. Okay. Which is funny because the Russians were saying that they were attacking Liman Pershi today. But anyways, that's another story. Russia's controls Liman Pershi. They also control these forests around Hyranikivka, and they control part of Hyranikivka, but they can't control this western part. This western part is a gray area, as you can see on my map. This western part, and the reason it's a gray area is because Ukraine controls the high ground across the river, and Russia can't enter it without taking heavy casualties, and there's absolutely no benefit for them to enter it. So that's the situation. Masutivka is a town that doesn't exist. It is now a forest that no longer exists. It's basically a barren wasteland of death at this point. So Russia has pushed through this barren wasteland kind of down into this sort of position over here. So they kind of evened up with Liman Pershi, which is what you can see on the map. So they have evened up with Liman Pershi. Ukraine still controls all the high ground on their side of the river, and they control this southern portion of the forest around Sinkivka. So these are changes. Now, what I want to say about this Masutivka area is that before, this area was majority gray area, and this portion may have been a gray area too. I don't know. I don't update things unless I get new information. So this is kind of may have been old information at this point. But anyway, this could have been a gray area too. But basically, this was all a gray area for the most part. And Russia is now claiming control over this gray area, which is why when you hear from Ukrainian troops that Russia did not capture anything that Ukraine controlled, that's what they mean. They mean Russia taking this ground. They're basically saying this was all gray area anyway. So Russia is just claiming a gray area. And whether or not they actually control the gray area, who knows? Ukraine says it's still a gray area. But maybe Russia controls it. I have it mapped as a Russian control. But anyway, those are kind of the big pieces of information. There's obviously fighting going around near Torska still. There's fighting going on west of Debrova. There's still kind of fighting in this kind of north of Bilohorivka area. There's just heavy fighting all in this area, and it's increasing in intensity, but it would be inaccurate to say that this is an offensive, a Russian offensive. It's more a Russian increase in intensity. Now, there could be an offensive soon, because it's very often that the beginning of an offensive occurs after a ramp up in intensity. So you might have like intensity at this level, and then it kind of goes up, and then you go to an offensive. You know what I mean? So that could happen, or it could just be slowly rising intensity and never become a full-fledged offensive, or the intensity could just go up for a while and back down again. Who knows? I guess we'll find out in the future. But that's more or less. That's the kind of news I got. And that's pretty much all I can say. I don't have anything else to say. Ukraine lost the crap, which is unfortunate. It was right there in the Kupiansk area.
And we haven't heard anything from our Russian friends up north of there?
Oh, well, yesterday they did an ambush, which I definitely cannot show on YouTube. But yeah, they sure did ambush. They
Oh, is that the I gotcha. Yep.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. They're in Russia. They
Yep. mm-hmm.
found this truck that was just driving by himself, and they decided that the truck would
Was speeding.
look better if it had a few thousand bullet holes in it. And I don't know, maybe they're right.
Possible.
Okay, so I want to say one thing, because it's borderline offensive. Okay, so the crab today, there was a video today that showed a crab with a burning net on top of it, and then it cut to a crab that was exploding. and people saw this video and thought it was the same vehicle. They're not the same vehicle. The crab that had a burning net suffered no damage at all. It's fine. The crab that exploded was a complete. Actually, I don't even know if the other vehicle was a crab. Let's just say it's a crab. The other vehicle that exploded.
It was a crab. Yeah.
But it's not the same vehicle. So I just want to say that because it's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying that the video was edited like this because it's a blatant lie.
Yeah, that's my friend's equipment. The one that was in the first part of the video. That's my friend Crab. We actually fundraised for him some time ago. And the crab is all right. There was a fire. The lancet punched through the top armor. It burned through, but it did not do any damage except for the hole in the top. But the second part, he said someone just added a different crab burning, and you can see that it's different because the net above it is different. The trench is different.
Yeah.
So it's not clear. It's probably something mined on the social media, but it's definitely not the same crab. But
Yeah.
crab was destroyed, obviously, and it's a crab. Yeah, it's a crab that we have. It has distinctions of the crab.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was a crab or something similar to a crab. But yeah, anyway, I do know a crab blew up right there near Kupiansk. But anyways, that's all the news I got. Unless, Constantine, do you have any news that you want to talk about? Do you have a fundraiser or anything?
No, I don't have a fun. We can, if we have listeners, there is a Tonya right now, Liberty Ukraine Foundation. We're doing a fundraiser to get some FPV drones. So it's link. There is a link to it in the video that I gave you.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate if people can take a look at it. We do amazing job helping offensive in the south, as well as in all other places around Ukraine. And we're right now quite struggling to fundraise any money. It's been getting harder and harder with each month. So I would appreciate.
I need $5,000. We could do.
Yeah,
That's $1,100 left. Not even. It's $1,000 left. We could do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, if you can help, I would greatly appreciate it. It's gonna be a huge boost to the troops, to the morale, and to Ukrainian general, ability to strike the enemies, and for civilian evacuation, of course.
Yeah. There's that. Hopefully we can finish that tonight. Let's finish that tonight. $1,000.
Yep.
We can do $1,000. 20 people donating like
$50
Yeah.
each.
It's nothing.
Easy.
Let's do it. I'm gonna retweet it. I already retweeted it, but I'm gonna quote tweet it.
And if you can add the link in the video, it would be helpful as well.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
You cannot drop it in the chat, right? It does not.
Does
not allow links.
Maybe. My YouTube channel. They'll let me do whatever I want. Here, I'll just put it.
You think so?
I put it in the description of the video too. So there you go. There's that.
Thanks for letting me ask questions again, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And
Anytime.
all right. So I think that's the video. And I'll be back on Friday. I don't know if Constantine will be there. Who knows? Sometimes he just shows up. But anyways, it was nice talking to everybody, and I hope the information is useful. And thank you for coming and listening. And you can like and subscribe to the video, or subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. And yeah, so there's that. Goodbye.